Fenishka turned her head away. "What a one you are!" she murmured, as she went on sorting out the flowers. "And how can you like listening to me?" "You have talked with such clever ladies." "Ah, Fedosia Nikolaevna. Believe me, all the clever ladies in the world aren't worth your little elbow." "There now, what will you invent next?" whispered Fenishka, clasping her hands together. Bazarov picked up the book from the ground. "That's a medical book. Why do you throw it away?" "Medical?" repeated Fenishka, and turned round to him. "Do you know, ever since you gave me those drops, do you remember? Mitya has slept so well." "I really don't know how to thank you, you are so good, really." "But actually you have to pay doctors," said Bazarov with a smile. "Doctors, you know yourself, are grasping people." Fenishka raised her eyes, which seemed still darker from the whitish reflection cast on the upper part of her face, and looked at Bazarov. She did not know whether he was joking or not. "If you want, we shall be very glad. I shall have to ask Nikolai Petrovich." "You think I want money?" interrupted Bazarov. "No, I don't want money from you." "What then?" asked Fenishka. "What?" repeated Bazarov. "Guess." "As if I'm likely to guess." "Well, I will tell you, I want one of those roses." Fenishka laughed again and even threw up her hands, so amused she was by Bazarov's request. She laughed, and at the same time she felt flattered. Bazarov was watching her intently. "By all means," she said at length, and bending over the bench she began to pick out some roses. "Which will you have, a red or a white one?" "Red, and not too large." She sat up again. "Here, take it," she said, but at once drew back her outstretched hand, and biting her lips, looked towards the entrance of the summer house and then listened. "What is it?" asked Bazarov. "Nikolai Petrovich?" "No, he has gone to the fields, and I'm not afraid of him, but Pavel Petrovich, I fancied." "What? It seemed to me he was passing by." "No, it was no one." "Take it." Fenishka gave Bazarov the rose. What makes you afraid of Pavel Petrovitch? He always frightens me. One talks, and he says nothing, but just looks knowing. Of course, you don't like him either. You remember you were always quarreling with him. I don't know what you quarreled about, but I can see you turning him this way and that. Fenishka showed with her hands how in her opinion Bazarov turned Pavel Petrovitch round about. Bazarov smiled. And if he defeated me, he asked, would you stand up for me? How could I stand up for you? But no, one doesn't get the better of you. You think so? But I know a hand which, if it wanted to, could knock me down with one finger. What hand is that? Why, don't you know really? Smell the wonderful scent of this rose you gave me. Fenishka stretched her little neck forward and put her face close to the flower. The kerchief slipped from her hair onto her shoulders, disclosing a soft mass of black shining and slightly ruffled hair. Wait a moment, I want to smell it with you, said Bazarov. He bent down and kissed her vigorously on her parted lips. She shuddered, pushed him back with both her hands on his breast, but pushed weakly, so that he was able to renew and prolong his kiss. A dry cough made itself heard behind the lilac bushes. Fenishka instantly moved away to the other end of the bench. Pavel Petrovitch showed himself in the entrance, bowed slightly, muttered in a tone of sorrowful anger. You are here. And walked away. Fenishka at once gathered up all her roses and went out of the summer house. That was wrong of you, Yevgeny Vasilich, she whispered as she left. There was a tone of sincere reproach in her whisper. Bazarov remembered another recent scene and he felt both ashamed and contemptuously annoyed. But he shook his head at once, ironically congratulated himself on his formal assumption of the role of a Don Juan, and went back to his own room. Pavel Petrovitch went out of the garden and made his way with slow steps to the wood. He stayed there quite a long time, and when he returned to lunch, Nikolai Petrovitch inquired anxiously whether he felt unwell. His face had turned so dark. You know, I sometimes suffer from bilious attacks, Pavel Petrovitch answered calmly.